tap the power, make the most important financial decision of your life, which is to stop trading time for money, to become an owner, not just to somebody who is, buying things, but somebody who's become an investor. And the way you have to do that is by deciding a percentage you're going to save, and you're going to keep that and put into a financial freedom fund. You're going to take that money before you see it, put it aside, and you're going to invest it. In fact, most people describe what happens with, let's say, a fighter, even somebody as brilliant as Money Mayweather. Brilliant guy, unbelievable fighter. But if you talk to nobody less than 50 Cent, his former friend and partner, he said, let me tell you what he does. He goes out and he fights, he gets the money, he spends the money, and then he fights. He said, and he carries around a Louis Vuitton bag full of literally $1 million in cash, just in case anything special happens he wants to take advantage of. So, God forbid if something happens to this man and his ability to fight, he could be in real trouble. We can't do that. And it's easy to make fun of somebody else and go, well, look at what they're doing. But don't most Americans really, instead of fight, say work, earn the money, spend the money, work? That cycle is the worst cycle on earth, and that's a cycle I want to get you out of right now, today, by tapping the power and making step one the most important investment decision in your life. So what the heck is it? Well, what if you decided that you were no longer going to be a financial trader? What are you talking about, Tony? I'm not a financial trader. I don't invest in stocks. I don't do that stuff all day long. Most Americans are financial traders, even though they don't think of themselves that way. Why? Because if you're trading time for money, you're making the worst financial trade in the world. Your goal, and the goal I have for you with this book, is to make money your slave. You want money to work for you, so you don't have to. Until that happens, you'll always have some level of uncertainty or fear or stress or insecurity, because there's only so many things that can happen that mess up your income flow and you're in trouble. What would it feel like if you could build what I would call a money machine? Something that made money while you slept. Something that literally every day of your life, even if you weren't working, could provide you an income without ever having to work again. Because I ask people all the time, what are you investing for? And people say, well, I don't know, I do my 401k so someday I can retire, or I'm investing so that I can get, more assets or a bigger nest egg. No, you're not. You're investing for one thing and one thing only. You're investing because you want an income. You want an income that will last longer than you live. In fact, I mentioned before, the number one fear of baby boomers today is that not they're going to die. That's their number two fear. The number one fear is I want to run out of money while I'm alive. And millennials have the same fear because, according to statistics, about 70 to 75% of the people are going to run out of money before they die. And we're all living longer, so the chance of that happening is off the charts unless you and I create a money machine. What does that mean? It's really simple. The most important financial decision of your life is deciding that a portion of all the money you earn in your life is yours to keep. That you're not going to give it up. It's for you and for your family, and you're going to keep a portion of what you earn forever, and you're going to grow it. That you're not going to give it to, Kate Spade. You're not going to give it to the Gap. You're not going to give it to whoever you normally gave it to. You're going to keep that for yourself, and you're going to grow it into something that literally will make it so you don't have to work as long as you live. I call it a money machine because it's really simple. If you were just thinking of yourself right now as you're a money machine, if you take a look at this graphic, here you are, you work your tail off, and what happens? You use your efforts to get money. You trade time for money, you take work and effort for money. But what if you just did something so simple? You already know to do it, you're just not probably doing it at the level that you could. What if you made a decision that a percentage of what you earn, you're never going to see it? It's just going to instantly and automatically be put into building this money machine, where you're going to take a portion of what you earn, 10%, 15%, 8%, 20%. You get to decide the number, but a portion of what you earn, no matter what, before you ever see it, It's almost like a tax, but the tax is paid to you instead of the government. The tax is for your future self. The tax is about creating financial freedom, so you're not like most people who end up their life being stressed out all the time, where you're the person who can do what you want, when you want, where you want, with whomever you want, because you got freedom. How do you get there? You take a portion of this money that you've done right now and you've earned, you automatically start to fill up this money machine.
Problems need energy to live. I want you to own that. Remember this. Problems need energy to live. And so the concept should be that we solve problems, but we don't have to pour and deplete ourselves of energy. Because the more energy you give something, the more it expands. We want to be in the max out universe. We want to pour our energy and expense our energy towards the solution, not towards the problem. So the first thing I want you to write down is 90% of your energy, focus, time, and thought should be towards the solution, not towards the problem itself. This is a mistake most people make because they expend all the energy into the problem. They obsess over the problem. And when you expand energy, it grows to survive. And the problem gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and the solution becomes more and more difficult. So the first thing is, can you consciously begin to focus on energy expansion into the solution, 90% of it into the solution and not into the problem? What we do is we repeat that problem over and over and over again, and we magnify it to the point where we don't come up with realistic solutions and we deplete ourselves as energy towards the solution. And so focus going forward, when a problem arises, a challenge arises, that you focus 90% of your energy and thoughts on the solution and not repeating the problem to yourself.
There's 3 areas of your life that, I think are important, right? One is really mastering your mind, right? Your thought process, and that's nothing new. The real question is, at one level, how do we become more self-aware of the thoughts that are driving all of our process? But more importantly, how do we change our thinking? How do we change the habitual patterns of thinking that we become addicted to? And so that then cascades into, our emotional responses that we have with life around us and our perceptions. So how do we reorient ourselves in a way that is congruent with the life that we actually want to create, or the business that we want to create, or the relationships that we want to create, or the health that we want to have? Because we tend to just continue to experience the same experiences over and over and over and over. And there's nothing fundamentally wrong with us in the fact that we live this sort of Bill Murray Groundhog Day type of existence, right? It's the way the technology and the operating system of the human beings have been designed. But now we're entering this really interesting period where I think personal growth is evolving into the next level, where we're able to utilize the tech to really tap into higher levels of intelligence and become, what a lot of people refer to as superhuman.
So what gets people stuck in the first place?
There are a number of things that get people stuck. I mean, let's talk about beliefs for a second. What are beliefs? Beliefs are the meanings that we gave the experiences of our life, mostly before the age of 7, before a significant portion of the prefrontal cortex is fully formed. We gave meanings to the experiences of our life, or other people gave meanings to the experiences that we were having, right? I remember distinctly one time, I grew up in Orange County, California, and I don't know why in first grade they had us choose which mission we wanted to build along, we had Mission San Juan Capistrano. So at a paper mache and clay, I'm building Mission San Juan Capistrano in my garage, and my dad walks in and he says, "Hey, let me show you a better way to do that." The meaning I gave that experience was I didn't know how to do it right. And just because of the way the technology works, what happens is that starts to shape the lens through which we experience the future experiences of our life. So the next time you have an experience, you're approaching that experience through the not knowing how to do it right. And because the brain is a goal-achieving machine, that's all we start to notice, right? Is what we're not doing right. And really no recognition of what we're doing well. So we get caught in this psycho-cybernetic loop. And if you're not aware of it, there's really no way out of it, because in every new experience, you're just going to continue to focus on that which reinforces the belief systems that you established, or the meaning that you gave the experiences early on, and you're going to ignore everything else. You become trapped, right?
By your own thoughts.
By your own thoughts, by your own belief systems. And now we're really understanding that those meanings aren't just some sort of like marshmallow fluff or kind of esoteric concept. They're actually wired into the neural networks of your brain. Like, we can't do that today, but in the future I would imagine we'd be able to brain scan you and go, oh, those are the neural networks that light up when you feel like there's not enough time, or money's hard to make, or you're not good enough, or you're not as far along as you should be. And for years I struggled in the current model of personal growth, because it's one of those things where, like, the current model lends to self-awareness. And when I'm speaking on stages, I say, how many of you are aware now of your limiting beliefs? And everybody raises their hands. I say, how many of you have done the events, you've done the programs, you've done the coaching, you've done the different protocols, you've done the modalities? And make no mistake, I'm not criticizing them, right? This is an evolution of our own ability to change ourselves. And everybody raises their hand, right? They've been in the work, but now they're acutely self-aware, and they have no idea what to do about the patterns of thinking that they're aware of that are causing the stress, anxiety, and overwhelm and holding them back. So that's where I was at one point. And if there was like a question or a quest I was on, it was, how do I go beyond self-awareness and actually begin to change the way I think?
You look around you at the people you admire, they have certain qualities. I mean, you've got friends. Why do you like them? Generally, generally they have an upbeat attitude on life. Generally, they're generous people. They're humorous people. They're people that do more than their share. They're people that are thinking about something nice they can do for you. And all of those qualities attract you. And none of those are innate at birth. I mean, you can acquire those. And then there's other people that turn you off. And they have habits. They take credit for things they didn't do. They don't show up on time, whatever it may be. They're a little dishonest about things. And if you're looking at your life at a young age like you are, and you can choose what kind of a person you can be, why not be the person you admire rather than the person you can't stand? It's so simple. So just write down the qualities you like. Take your 5 best friends. Why do you like them? And just write down those qualities. And you will find there's no quality there that you can't have yourself. And similarly with the 5 people you can't stand to be around, put those things down that turn you off about those people. And if they turn you off about them, why should you possess them? It's so simple. It's not like something complicated that you think you should be learning with an advanced degree in school.
It's not as complicated as investing in the stock market.
No, but it's enormously important to have people work with you in life. Right. They're going to work with you in life if they like you. And they may occasionally, I mean, if you're in the Army or something, you may work for somebody that you don't like. But by and large, you're going to get the best out of people if they feel good about you. And it's just so easy, but you've got to develop the habits early, because you can't say I'm going to suddenly become a terribly attractive person when I'm 60. It just doesn't work that way. So pick up the right habits now. And I will guarantee you, if you actually just write down those qualities and think about it, you will find you can have every one of the attractive qualities, get rid of the ones that are negative, and your life will be different.
I think if a Michael Francis was a father figure type, probably, and I would have probably done a pretty good job at it.
Fascinating.
Yeah. If I had a father figure like a Michael or a Sonny or one of those guys, most likely.
Gotcha. Do you think like a gangster at times?
You have to. There's no question about it. In the business world?
Sure.
Oh, you have to think that way.
Interesting.
Oh, you have to, especially in the world of, look, we're friends, we may talk here, but within your world, the bigger you get, there's a lot of people that are not happy about your brand getting bigger.
Sure.
You opening up more gyms, this is not exciting to a lot of other people that own gyms. It's not even exciting to somebody that runs a different model when it comes down to franchising.
Right.
So you're not helping people, it's helping competitors. You're hurting them.
Sure.
And when it comes down to it, if it's between your 5 locations versus my 5 locations, they are going to be competitive. So you get in the world of business being very everybody wants to help, everybody's this, and then you realize there's a part of it that some of the people would take their side over you any day.
Haters motivate me, because when they talking about me, that means I'm doing something.
You see, while you're over there watching me and talking about me, I'm working. I'm working hard. I'm taking things to the next level. You keep gossiping and I'll keep working.
You cannot win the war against the world if you can't win the war against your own mind.
While you quitting and giving up, while you saying, all right, I did enough, it's time to rest, he might just be getting in his zone. I value myself enough to give 120% what you're doing. And then those of you in this room, you playing. You still giving 50%. You still giving 70%. Look, quit that job. If you're going to go every day and get that job 70%, quit that job.
So if you're not finding that motivation that you want, forget about it. Instead, impose some daily discipline in your life. And start today.
If you want to be great, you want to be the baddest motherfucker ever at what you do, you're going to be misunderstood by everybody because you're going to be so fucking obsessed and so driven to get there. That's what it takes. It takes every second of your fucking life. Anybody says balance? Yeah, balance is important for a lot of people. But if you want to fucking go to that edge where people do not like you, don't understand you, you're in that spot of obsession and drive.
I challenge you to see your problems as a great thing. I challenge you to start being thankful that you have the opportunity to grow, get stronger, get more focused, get more skilled, and kick more ass because of every hardship you face.
One of the things I've been talking to my audiences about is the relationship between responsibility and meaning, which is, what would you say? It's a constant refrain in the book. It's one of its underlying messages, let's say, or themes is a better way of thinking about it. You know, if you start with the presumption that there's a baseline of suffering in life and that can be exaggerated as a consequence of human failing, as a consequence of malevolence and betrayal and self-betrayal and deceit and all those things that we do to each other and ourselves that we know that aren't good, that amplifies the suffering. That's sort of the baseline against which you have to work. And it's contemplation of that often that makes people hopeless and depressed and anxious and overwhelmed and all of that, and they have the reasons. But you need something to put up against that. And what you put up against that is meaning. Meaning is actually the instinct that helps you guide yourself through that catastrophe. And most of that meaning is to be found in the adoption of responsibility. So if you think, for example, if you think about the people that you admire, well, you think about when you have a clear conscience first, because that's a good thing to aim at, which is something different than happiness, right?
A clear conscience is different than happiness.
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
That's
you're not
better.
Like guilting yourself. You're not feeling bad about yourself.
That's right. You feel that you've justified your existence, right? And so you're not waking up at 3 in the morning in a cold sweat thinking about all the terrible things that you've involved yourself in.
What you said to someone that you shouldn't have said, or how you acted, or lied.
What opportunity you lost, or the things that you've let go that you should have capitalized on, and all of that. And so, if you think about the times when you're at peace with yourself with regards to how you're conducting yourself in the world, it's almost always conditions under which you've adopted responsibility, right? At least the most guilt I think that you can experience, perhaps, is the sure knowledge that you're not even taking care of yourself, so that you're leaving that responsibility to other people, because that's pretty pathetic. And unless you're psychopathic and you're living a parasitical life, and that characterizes a very small minority of people, and an even smaller minority think that's justifiable. But most of the time you're in guilt and shame because not only are you not taking care of yourself, let's say, so someone else has to, but you're not living up to your full potential. And so there's an existential weight that goes along with that.
What I want to talk to you about today is a note which I call daily. So if you create a new note in your notepad, or something that you check on a daily basis, this is the most important thing. Name it daily, and then write the word do, : and then go down a few lines and write the word don't, colon. The one thing I would ask you to do walking out of this is to every single day, just for a week, wake up to this note, check it throughout the day, and then also before you fall asleep, check to make sure that you did and you didn't do everything. So what you put in each one of these is you have a list of everything that you want to do every single day, and you have a list of things that you don't want to do. And the easiest way to add to the don'ts is to notice something that you never want to do again, and you just add that to it. Very, very simple. I'm just going to share some of mine. These might be a little bit personal and embarrassing, but here we are. Number one on my do list is to stay present. I think it's so easy to get trapped in the past. It's so easy to think about the future. The most important thing is I stay present, and just reading this brings me back to the present, brings me back to this moment. Number two for me is be vulnerable. Show people my mistakes, show people my fears, because they can relate, because they're going through similar things. Number three, drink only lemon water and red wine. Great red wine is a great modifier for it. This goes with one of my don't, which is don't drink hard liquor or beer on weekdays. Number three is 6 sets of 20 squats and push-ups throughout the day. I just have to do them every day. 6 sets of 30-second planks. Run for 3 miles. Meditate on this list. Stand up straight, which whenever I say, I always see posture moving in the audience. Say hello to everyone. I just bought a heavy bag, so I'm training with a heavy bag, so I want to spend 10 minutes with a heavy bag every day. I want to do a video journal every single day, and I want to get 7 hours of sleep. On my don't list, and again, this is one of the hardest things, and a lot of these are personal, so I'm not going to read all of them. But on my don't list is don't avoid eye contact. Don't be late. Don't set expectations for someone and not meet them. Don't eat sugar. I'm on the paleo diet, so don't eat wheat, lentils, or dairy. And then, of course, don't drink hard liquor or beer on the weekdays. So this list, while it sounds very, very simple, has been fundamental in establishing patterns for myself. And it's something that I do check every single morning. I check throughout the day, and I check right before I go to bed. And I make sure that I check everything off and go through it. And I've given it to our companies. I've given it to a number of students that I've talked to as we've gone to schools and recruiting. And people have come back to me and said that this is something that works for me. It's something that's easy to do and something easy to remember. One of the most fundamental things about it that I've learned, that I've taken away from it, is how it gives you focus. How it gives you something that allows you to really ignore everything else that's going on, all the other noise, to allow you to focus on what's most important. So this do and don't list for people and individuals in the company has translated to a do and don't list for our company. For Square, we have a do and don't list. We have, these are the things that we're going to do. These are the core things. These are our bold bets. And these are the things we're saying no to for right now. Has been fundamental in allowing us to move fast, to continue to innovate, and to really push the boundaries and continue to invent and question and reset everything that we think about the organization.
What do you do when you tried and failed and you want to quit and you want to give up?
People that are hungry are willing to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have.
You have to make sure that your dreams, your aspirations and goals are so big that not accomplishing them is not an option.
I don't know what that dream is that you have. I don't care how disappointing it might have been as you've been working toward that dream. That dream that you're holding in your mind, that it's possible.
To all of you fighting battles alone, To all of you going against the grain, battling the naysayers, stay strong. Keep going. Stay strong. Keep going.
I need all televisions off. I need cell phones off. Listen to me. Some of you going to be broke for the rest of your life because of that little thing on the side. You're going to be broke for the rest of your life because of a little cell phone. I need you to study like you've never studied before. I need you up all night long studying.
What is there that you know you need to do, that you want to do this, but for some reason or another, you've been holding back? I think that among the things that prevent us from acting is the fear of failure. And if you've already failed, you don't want to fail again. The pain of that, the disappointment, the fear of loss is another thing. Because many times when we do those things that we know we need to do, we feel that we might lose somebody that we love very much and care about. We don't want to hurt anybody.
I'm going to tell you something that every successful person has to do, including you. Believe it or not, every successful person in this world has jumped.
As Karl von Clausewitz said, pursue one great, decisive aim with force and determination.
When people tell you can never get done, you stop dreaming and you go back to knowledge.
Find that thing that makes you come alive. Focus on it. Everything around you, the opportunities, the fact that you're alive.
And we've all had experiences where we were working on something and we knew it was possible. And we did those things that were necessary to bring it into reality. We took the responsibility to make it happen. Other people couldn't see it. A lot of people didn't believe it. You were attacked. You were criticized.
It has nothing to do with opportunity. You've been given opportunity. The problem is you're not operating in your greatness in that opportunity. So that's why you stuck on that particular level.
People were opposing you, but you kept on doing it. It was hard, it was rough, it was difficult, but to you it was worth it. And eventually you got to a level you know, can nothing stop me now.
Anything you're struggling to try to accomplish, whether it's health or love or relationships, whatever it is, if you're struggling, it represents a simple fact. Your subconscious programming doesn't support that conclusion.
I dare you to use your imagination. I dare you when you're broke to use your imagination. I dare you when you're rich to use your imagination. I dare you under every single circumstance. Keep dreaming. Keep looking at your dream.
Because that is how you bend the universe to your will. That is how you impress people. That is how you capture the human imagination. And if you want to do something extraordinary and be remembered, you've got to get so good that you're performing at a level that has never been seen before. That is the only path to set the bar ridiculously high and then surpass all expectations. You can't put it down low and then beat it and say, whoa, look at me.
We say that in zero-based thinking, you ask this question: is there anything that I am doing today that, knowing what I now know, I wouldn't get into again today if I had to do it over? We call this a QUINK analysis. Knowing what I now know, QUINK. In times of rapid change, there are always areas in your personal and business life that, knowing what you now know, you wouldn't get into again today if you had to do them over. Your willingness to ask and honestly answer this question is the key to remaining flexible and quick on your feet in times of turbulence. How can you tell if you have a zero-based thinking situation in your life or business? Simple. Stress. Whenever you experience ongoing chronic stress about any person or situation, you should ask yourself, if I was not now in this situation, knowing what I now know, would I get into it again today? This is a great question. Now here's another question for you. What percentage of the time do you think that you will turn out to be wrong? Well, the answer, according to the American Management Association, is about 70%. 70% of your decisions will turn out to be wrong in the fullness of time. It's amazing how many people will stay in a bad situation or continue with a bad course of action because of their unwillingness or inability to admit that they made a mistake or that they were wrong in the past. But remember this, when you made the decision, it was probably a good decision based on the situation at that time, but now the situation has changed. Now you have to evaluate your situation based on the current reality.
If you want more freedom in your life, you have to have more discipline. If you don't have any discipline, you'll end up with absolutely no freedom. You'll end up being a slave to other people that boss you around. There's all kinds of problems that can occur if you don't have discipline in your life. And the more discipline you have, the more freedom you're going to have.
You will not defeat me. You will not destroy me. Some of you are so ignorant. You've been through so much hell. You gonna quit now? You should have quit 10 years ago when you got raped. You should have quit 10 years ago when he walked out on you. You should have been quit. You don't quit now. It's the 10th round. You got 2 more to go. And when you get to success, it's not about skill. When you get to a certain level of success, it's about stamina. It's about stamina. It's about you won't break me. You can't take me. I fought too long. I fought too hard. If I was going to quit Satan, you should have got me at 17. You should have spoken to me when I was eating out of trash can. It's too late now. I'm in the Ritz-Carlton. It's too late now. It's too late. I got people's lives I take. It's too late. You should have broke me a long time ago. I'm unbreakable now.
It's an urge. It's an urge. Truth be told, every champion has felt it. Every president has felt it. Every king has felt it. Every lion has felt it. Every winner has felt it. Every soldier has felt it. Every victorious person has felt it. The urge to quit. Don't you give up on your dream. I don't care if you don't have the money, and you don't have the help, and you don't have the family for it, and you don't have the background for it, and you don't have the friends for it. Don't you give up on your dream. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. It may take you twice as long. You may have to take courses and classes. You might not read as fast. You might not move as quick. You might not have as much. But don't you quit.
Do you define yourself by your emotions? Do you define yourself by your status? Do you define yourself by your lowest point? Do you define yourself by your highest achievement? All of that is dangerous.
It's very easy for us to become duplicates of everything and everybody that's around us. I'm saying to you, wake up every day and decide that you love yourself enough to commit yourself to you. They say that you're selfish. The word selfish starts with the word self. I cannot take care of you if I'm not taking care of myself. Some of y'all are so consumed, you're allowing people to make you feel bad about being so blessed.
Gratitude erases negativity. I'm gonna show you how this works. If you wake up in the morning and you start having negative thoughts, man, this ain't my day. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Every time you feel, in the middle of the day, if you feel yourself doing that, stop. Just stop for a second. And start going over in your mind everything you have to be grateful for. Not everything you want, everything you already have. Because what you have is substantial.
Because the moment you start believing that you are what you do or you are what you went through, there's a bleeding on the inside that happens when your sense of self-worth flows from what you do and what you go through.
Every multimillionaire and every multi-billionaire in this world that are living on the top have all decided that I'm going to commit myself to this career, this vision, this goal. They're going to call you names. They're going to say you're corny. They're going to call you a square. Those are the characteristics of a champion.
You have to accept that all your excuses are lies. They are lies, all of them. Think about the things that you tell yourself, the lies you use to rationalize taking the easy road. Taking the easy road and leaving discipline behind. Think about them.
Which story are you telling yourself? The one of your own life or hiding in the story of other people's lives? We hide in the story of other people's lives through gossip of people that are around us, talking bad about them. Those are all stories about other people's lives. Are you in the story of your own life?
I don't need to be enabled. I need some friends who will empower me to think a new thought, empower me not to give up, empower me to go further, empower me to go harder.
What is my spiritual giftedness? Because when God created you, he gave you gifts, spiritual strengths, to enable you to find and fulfill your purpose. When you find your spiritual gift, you'll be good at it. It'll be just what you do well. It'll fit. It'll be natural. It'll be easy.
I am not a victim, I'm a victor. And my present situation does not define my potential destination. Life doesn't happen to me, life happens for me. So spare me your sympathy. I don't need any of it. What I do need is your strength. What I do need are your strategies. I need you to empower me so I can step into the future God has called me to.
You buy a ticket on a train or a plane because you want to go someplace, and you know exactly where you're going. You may have to change planes in a different city, your flight may be canceled, and you may have to switch to another flight, but you will persist. You know where you're headed, and you're quite determined to get there. That's goal-directed behavior in its simplest form.
You've got a lot to give. You have a lot to offer. The fact that you're still here means that your business is not through yet. The other thing that keeps us from reaching our goal is not feeling worthy. Because see, when you don't feel worthy of your goal, you'll begin to unconsciously engage in self-destructive behavior, like procrastinating, constantly putting things off, squandering your time, and that's what life is made of.
Do you have character? Are you for sale? Your future depends on your character, not your charisma. And most leaders, whether they are politicians, preachers, or parents, they try to live off their charisma. They try to live off their talent.
There's so much we're learning right now. We may not know we've learned it until way on the other side of it. You don't really realize life lessons until later. You know that, right? It's later that you say, oh, it was good for me that I was afflicted. Oh, it's good for me that they told me no. And it's later that we see the lessons. A lot of times it's later that we see the lessons.
When you start to pile them into life, what's your distraction? Just be honest. Are you distracted by ESPN? Are you distracted by movies, video games, gossip, haters, right? Your problems. Are you distracted with things that don't matter in your life? There's all these things competing to get you to not be focused. How about your insecurities? How about your fears or your problems? Are you using all of these? Do you your relationship issues, does it distract you from your big goals? Do you let these things, do you almost willingly do it?
It first starts with decision on your part. And may I add, well, you should decide. Why let worry continue to take money out of your pocket and bank account? Why let worry any longer keep you from becoming all you can be? It's a burden you can get rid of. Why not be rid of those sinking, nagging feelings that all is not going to be well, that you can't do it? Worry is undue concern that takes up too much of your mental and emotional time.
Most of us are willing participants in our own distraction. And we need to be willing participants in our own focus, in our own obsessions, and getting ourselves back on plan. Because remember what I told you, if you're really obsessed, the obsession will distract you from these things.
I'm saying that regardless of the presence of those negative influences in your life, the best thing you can do, the most empowering thing, the strongest thing, and ultimately the wisest thing, is to accept responsibility for your own destiny, plain and simple.
Just start working at it just a little bit, but do find out what your work is and hold on to it and don't let your dream go. I think that many of us don't go the next step because we don't know what to do yet. And I say that the reason that we don't even explore the possibility of what to do is because subconsciously we don't believe that it can happen for us, and we don't believe that we deserve it.
The lesson of letting go is not only that external events cause us to let go. The way God changes us is transformation from the inside out.
Vision without values is destiny without discipline. No matter how great your vision is, it can be destroyed. So your destiny depends on your personal discipline. Character will always protect your vision.
There's all kinds of different ways to break. You can break physically, you can break mentally, you can break your heart, you can break your spirit, and none of those are fun, and all of those are gonna leave a mark. But the mark that they leave can be the mark of victory, or it can be the mark of defeat. Because every time you break, and in every way that you break, while it's a chance, it's definitely a chance for you to give up and for you to just to fall apart. But there's also opportunity. There's opportunity to get stronger, and get smarter, and get faster, and get tougher, and get more stable, and get more resilient, and get better. When you break, you have the opportunity to show the world, the whole world, what you are really made of. So if you break, if you break, the fight isn't over. In fact, if you break, the fight is just beginning.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that.
Move on. Straight up, move on.